There was nothing left. Every fence on the place, cattle yards, tractors, implements, silage, hay and cattle, sheds, the house, they're all gone.
Australia's summer bushfires burnt through millions of hectares, destroying homes, properties, and lives. Months on, some survivors are still without running water or a warm place to sleep.
Existing, literally existing. And it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know how we do it, honestly.
Does it surprise you that all these months on, people's basic needs are still not being met?
Oh, heavens, yes. Yes, it's very, very surprising and dismaying.
As a new fire season approaches, 101 East follows a community trying to rebuild in the aftermath of one of Australia's worst disasters.
Early this morning we had a delivery of 207 1,000 litre water tanks, which are going to be distributed throughout the Shire. People have been coming in all day, picking them up on their trailers, and yeah, it's been pretty busy today.
For months, hundreds of people in and around Cobargo have been living without access to one of life's most basic necessities, water. This donation of 207 tanks is a huge relief. Chris Walters, who runs the local relief centre, has the hard task of working out who needs one of these tanks the most.
People are using bottled water, or they're bringing in 20-litre containers of water to fill up here at the showground, and that's all the water they've got because their whole water infrastructure has been burnt. So they have no water.
This tank will mean everything to Kath Healy and Rachel Hatton, who've been living in a caravan with no running water since losing their house in the fire on New Year's Eve.
Oh, you all stay there. Tomorrow with this, like, the stress is off just that little bit more. We can have a shower, we can wash up, and we don't have to stress. Just one little thing. It's a big thing in our day. A huge big thing. It really is.
What have you been doing for the last 5 months?
Existing. Literally existing, because day to day is just so hard. If you get up in the morning and it's 4 degrees, like, it's cold. So you got to get water, you got to feed the animals, you got to try and keep warm. And it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know how we do it, honestly. I don't even know what to start. Clothes, jackets, up there.
Kath and Rachel are still in need of simple things like blankets and warm clothes. The relief centre has become a lifeline.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh no, I think they
Oh yeah.
make my ankles cold. That looks warm.
Yeah.
Nice and long.
That's a good one.
Danielle Murphy runs the centre alongside Chris Walters. They're both volunteers.
Is that them coming in now? Because I
don't know. We provide a bit of a gathering place for people who come in looking for assistance and for material help, but also it helps with their mental health, I think, that people can still feel part of the community, even though, particularly in coronavirus times, they're feeling very isolated.
Oh, come on, this is like Frozen.
Danielle is a punk rocker who made the change from inner city Sydney to Cobargo 16 years ago. She's now a key part of the bushfire relief effort.
And Danielle, we heard the generators would be coming.
They're for small businesses primary
producers.
Sorry, that's my project. That's her project. You need to speak with Chris about.
I'll just wake up my computer and put you straight on the list.
Terrific, thank you
We
very
try
much.
to wear different hats. Otherwise...
We've got to split the projects, otherwise we both go mad.
Danielle and I had never met before the first week of January. We live in the same town, but we're quite different ages, we have different interests and so forth. And it just grew. It just grew out of necessity, out of just sort of... We were the last men standing when the other volunteers all had to go off to their other lives after the first influx of people and volunteers when the bushfires first happened.
We're like two heads, one brain. It's a lovely little tag team we've got going. And so, you know, we call between ourselves, you know, Chris is the efficiency department. You know, she will be, you know, whereas I'm a little bit more chaotic. I think together we combine to, you know, become this really successful working team.
And what are we only allowed? One, is it? Or one per family? Like,
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Well, that's very good because I've got 3 2-litre water bottles I fill up now.
Yeah,
I go after I go for a shower.
Yeah, yeah.
Without sounding soppy about it, we want to help people. We do want to help people, but we really feel it's important that we stay the distance to help people because we've developed relationships with people and they can come in and they know that they're talking to a friendly face and someone that they've probably seen before. And so we're here for the long haul.
We are headed to Coolagallite to go and see Stefan. I will be taking out a few supplies to Stefan and a food hamper from Food Bank and a few extra little goodies which I like to do for Stefan. He's a beautiful man who has a big rebuild ahead of him.
Danielle!
I come bearing gifts.
Bringer of goods all the time, can't you stop? She never stops.
No, because these are your soul things.
She's my...
Your soul things.
My Santa.
I have a...
I'm a marsupial now. You're starting to spoil me.
I got more. I'm going to go get it. Here we go. Something living and green. And it's food. It's essential.
Taka.
But it's a food
Good taka.
hamper.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Stefan Talmatsky is a homeopath who moved from Germany to Australia 40 years ago. The mud brick home he built by hand was destroyed in the fires.
It's war, like war was here. Look like Donetsk or Syria or the Allied bombings of Germany, the pictures I know, you know. Indescribable, actually. And sad, of course, sad.
He's been given 2 weathered caravans and a shipping container to see him through the winter. Like many in the area, he was uninsured. He's been given $50,000 from the Red Cross to rebuild and $8,000 from the state government to replace his appliances.
Have you found it hard to ask for help?
Yeah, I never. That was actually one thing I learned through this. And I was always reluctant to do this. And now I've become a hunter and gatherer. I grab everything. I mean, Danielle and Chris, they help me. Yeah, but I've literally asked for some things. That was hard, but not terribly hard, you know. I could combine it with a certain necessity.
Come up once here. For uninsured people, it's, you know, overwhelming, and when they're being given these grants and, you know, they're trying to hang on to every last cent. You know, they're trying not to spend it because they know that that is the one and only opportunity that they have to rebuild it. And a lot of those times they will never, ever get it back to a level that it was. And, yeah, my heart goes out to them.
Fire roared through Cobargo on New Year's Eve. Two days later, Prime Minister Scott Morrison came to see the devastation.
Brian Arliff, we met over the road. We've done 48 years. That was a family business. They're gone. Bangles Gallery up here. That was those are house ages we were talking about earlier. Gone.
Got a smile. Looking in this direction. Good on you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good on you.
The former mayor, local dairy farmer Tony Allen, showed the PM around the relief centre where bushfire victims had set up camp.
I was made aware that the Prime Minister was coming, and I thought, well, this could be good for us because we needed help. We needed help from whoever we could get help from. We were smashed.
The visit turned into one of the most politically charged moments of the summer.
We've only had 4 trucks to defend our town because our town doesn't have a lot of money, but we have hearts of gold, Mr. Prime Minister.
I was exhausted, I hadn't slept, I'd fought fires, I still had ash all through my hair, bits of melted plastic, and it was just this, you know, sense of outrage that the little people are very much overlooked in any disaster. It's yeah, I was enraged.
It's really rude, mate. It really is. No, you're an idiot, mate. You really are.
You're never getting any votes down here, buddy. Yeah, we want liberal around here. Nobody. No liberal votes. You're out, son. You are out. Not appropriate. Bye. Go, piss off.
I think that it was unfortunate, something I regret having been part of, but in hindsight, what you do, you think you're doing the right thing by your community.
There are some people who at first were angry at my outburst, now see how hard I work and realise that it was never, you know, it was never my intention to, you know, just stage a personal protest or get on television or anything like that. It was, yeah, just a frustration for people's needs not being met or listened to.
Months on from the Prime Minister's visit, the devastation still stretches for hundreds of kilometres around Cobargo. While billions have been pledged for bushfire recovery, a common feeling here is that the response from big charities, government and politicians hasn't been good enough.
You know, it's all sorts of politicians of different, both political stripes, and have seen the area, seen the damages down here, and they've seen it and just haven't responded because I keep saying that it was such the scale of this is huge, and the response to that has got to be huge as well, and I just don't think it has been.
Dave Allen runs the only pub in town.
How are you, Dad? What's that? Not too much yourself.
It was his dad, Tony Allen, who showed the PM around the relief centre.
Yeah, it's basically working, mate, not bloody laying about.
Dave saved the hotel from the fire as it tore through the shops nearby. He's still traumatised.
The first few weeks, I didn't get a lot of sleep. You'd start crying. You know, all of a sudden you start crying. But that, you know, you gradually work your way through that, and then getting back to work was important for me, and getting something to do, and not focusing on what happened and focusing on what we can do to, you know, move forward and get the place going again, so that helped. But for people who didn't have a job to go to or had lost their homes, just lost their sense of being, so to speak, I guess was really, really tough.
He talks to bushfire victims every day and is shocked at the conditions some are still living in.
Still got a lady who was coming here getting meals. She was sleeping in her car. She had a caravan, but she couldn't sleep in the caravan because she had a back complaint, so she had to sleep in a car every night. You know, people still have to go outside at 2 degrees outside to go to the toilet in these old caravans, and I just don't understand, with all the money that was donated through various charities, all the government assistance, that there's people still living rough, and there's going to be more people just virtually give up because they don't have any hope, and this could go on for years.
I think because the disaster was so huge that the government bodies and agencies who would have stepped up and have tried to step up have just not been equipped. They were never equipped to deal with such an enormous disaster. And I also think that grants and that sort of thing, the applications are just almost impossible for people who are suffering severe trauma to fill out. None of those forms are simple, and there's a lot of, oh, it's just too hard, I'll give up, I just can't do this. There's a lot of that happening, or has happened.
On Jade Corby's farm in Wandella, north of Cobargo, the cleanup is finally getting started. State and federal governments are paying contractors to clear people's blocks.
How you going?
Good. Self?
Good. I'm Monica. We've talked on the phone.
Yep.
This is Dax.
Good.
Jade is showing the assessors through what remains of his home.
That's the house just here.
Yep.
And just up behind that was the old dairy.
Yep.
It's just a shed these days.
Okay.
Yeah. There was nothing left. Every fence on the place, cattle yards, tractors, implements, silage, hay and cattle, sheds, the house. A lot of old cars have been collecting for a lot of years, a lot of old Fords. They're all gone.
Just a quick one to start with. Do you have asbestos? Is it an asbestos site?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what will be the asbestos there.
In this shire alone, there are more than 2,000 burnt buildings to remove, including an enormous 32,000 tonnes of material contaminated with asbestos.
We're saying about 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Given this has the asbestos, it's probably the latter end of that 4-week mark, rather than being able to slot it in earlier.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah.
Jade is also helping at his parents' place on the next ridge over. His family has been farming in the area for 4 generations.
This is Mum and Dad's house. This is where we were brought up. Mum and Dad built this themselves with a builder, just the 3 of them. I think I might have been about 3 or 4 or something like that, yeah. So it was a 5-bedroom house. There was 7 of us kids, so a fair few of us.
5 of Jade's family also lost their homes in the fire.
Just over the hill there is my sister's place. My place is the next ridge just through there. We all lost our place. We've got an auntie on the next ridge over sort of just to the side here, another auntie up behind me. Yeah, so there was 5 of us. 5 of us lost homes out here, and then my pop lost his house in town. Yeah.
So 6 houses in one family.
Yeah.
So, incredible.
But yeah, we're all still here, so yeah.
He's tagging what he thinks he can salvage. The rest will be sold for scrap metal or end up in the tip.
car there behind you, just there can go. I didn't put any tape around that caravan, but it's got to stay. This tractor of yours, are you done with it? Did you want it to go into the scrap, or? Yeah, you're finished with it? Righto. It's good, it's one step closer, makes you feel a bit better, but at the same time it's also a bit emotional too when they're starting to tear stuff up, and there's not much left anyway, but it's a positive, looking in the future, looking forward.
Warren Salway has years of work ahead of him to rebuild his farm. It's not just the fences. He lost 2 houses, 5 sheds, the stockyards, and 150 cattle.
We lost in excess of $1.3 million in infrastructure on the farm. The cattle weren't insured, the fences weren't insured, 1 house wasn't insured, and 3 of the 5 sheds weren't insured. So, yeah, we copped it. But people say to you, why didn't you have it insured? You can't afford to insure everything you've got. Like, your premiums are so much, you draw a line somewhere.
Warren lost a lot more than his property in the fire. His brother Robert and nephew Patrick were killed defending their farm.
They got caught. They were in a paddock like this, only 30 metres from their house. It shouldn't have happened, but they got hit by a fireball. And, I didn't experience a fireball here. I had plenty of fire, but I didn't have a fireball. Up at our other farm there was, just the way the trees have been tore apart sort of thing. That was pretty hard to deal with. But you've just got to move on, haven't you? Like, what do you do?
Jade Corby was a friend of the men who died.
I'm so sorry about the loss of Robert and Patrick Salway. What impact has that had on the community here?
I don't want to comment on that one.
In all, 4 people died from the fires around Cobargo. Over the past months, people here have been quietly rebuilding their lives, firmly focused on the future.
How long do you think it's going to take for you to get back on your feet? Get back to normal?
It's, a couple of years, and I probably should have everything back to, somewhere near it.
How are you feeling about that when you think about what you've got ahead of you?
I try not to think about it too much. You just sort of just keep working and keep going and just keep busy. Yeah.
A lot of people have, at the beginning, not been forthcoming with asking for help, but we find now that they're actually coming through and saying, actually, I'm not okay and I do need a bit of help. And we try to do that in a way that, preserves a person's dignity, because, that's a person's pride and their dignity should be something they should always be able to retain.
Don't forget about us. We're still struggling. It's going to take a very, very, very long time for the bushfire affected people and countryside and villages and economies to recover, if in fact some of them ever do. And yeah, just be with us, work with us, stay with us.